Hello everyone, my name is Ashkan. You can call me Ashi because it's easy to call. So many people call me like that. Uh, I want to explain today to you implemented project before I implemented it in Angular and .NET Core. It's a very simple project. I'm sorry, my English is not fluent, so sorry about it, and I hope you excuse me. I wanted explain project I implemented before to you. I want to explain to you uh, all infrastructure of implemented project. So it's this project implemented with Angular, SQL Server database, Dapper, ORM, and the .NET Core C# for backend and API. So yes, I'm going to open it. So first, open database to show you the data and structure of database. Actually, this is the software you can rent a car for using your using in using in a specified time. Uh, this is a simple project I implemented, and just I wanted to show you the uh, power of these technologies we can use in our applications. So this is Carson or database. This is tables. Uh, the first table should be countries. I defined countries here with some fields. You can see here code name, ID, active. This is active country or not, and the 3 columns to define temporary values if we need. The second table, cities, that is in foreign key to, sorry, the second table is provinces, that is foreign key to country ID to relate to country, and using ID, code, name, active, same as before, same as previous table. And cities is the same, just it has the relation to province table. Insiders means persons using this application, like clients, users, admins, everyone, that we keep their information inside this table. ID, name, address, postal code, city ID, that relation to cities table. Telno, phone no, it is phone no, I mean, for example here, it's here is cell phone number. And telno is telephone number of the state. I mean, telephone number you have in your home or in your office and anything. Email, IC pass no. IC pass no mean someone has the the PRs have some cards that has some numbers, or your passport number you can enter here. Is admin, is renter, is client. It can be all of these or just one of these three. Because of that, I use these three columns. You can specify for all of them. This insider is active or not active, and those three columns I explained before. And if you see the rows I entered before here, the accidental data, you can see, for example, this is just client, this is admin and renter too, and so on. You can see here email, and there are not actual data, there are just mock data I generated before. We want to see backend part. I want to explain backend part to you, to tell you how I implement this part in backend part. Database, I mean, how can I connect from backend to database? I need to find cursor. Yeah, it's here. Okay, the first thing I want to tell you is I have two projects in my backend. One of my mapper model project, and the other one that services I have in this project solution actually. Dapper, I implemented first of all using Dapper package. You just need to come to NuGet packages and install Dapper. For using Dapper, this is a powerful ORM to using with SQL Server, MySQL, SQLite, and so on. It is very powerful, and I like it, very like it. So first of all, I define my models. It doesn't generate models for you. You should define and generate your models yourselves. As you see, I implement a model for each of my tables I have in my database. Country model, province model, city model, car model, insider model. Car model has a foreign key to insider. See, this is, it has a foreign key to insider. Here, but I need to show you in database, insider and city. This is, it has relation to these two tables. Okay, and another model I have here, book model. The last model is book model. I didn't show you here. This is book model, that it has booker ID that relation to, it has a relation to insider table, and car ID that has relation to TBL cars. Trip start, trip end, save date and time, price, the price you should pay for that. They set up that book. It has 3 estates, and I show you in the application, and those 3 columns I explained before. Now I displayed to you these models and typers. These types are or enums, fuel type of the car, gasoline or electric, and state type I showed you in that books table. Get these values, upcoming for 0, 0 for upcoming, 1 for started, 2 for cancelled, and 3 for completed. So we should explain an interface, two interface actually for each of our tables. I started with country, a country repo. A country repo read all active countries. This is just do it. You can define every methods you want here, but I just need to get a list of countries here because I inserted before myself this data, and you can here, for example, another method here, for example, Boolean, and insert, for example, country, and use it in your application. But we don't need it for now. We just need to read active countries. And you need a country executor text. In Dapper, you need to use plain SQL to execute your scripts. You need to implement your plain strings. So we define iCountry executor text and interface, and we define for this the plain TSQL script. But you can use views and stored procedure, but I didn't use in this project yet. Maybe in future I will, but now I just implement a script inside the solution. So the other one I need to show you the province. Yeah, province is the same. You have you need to read active provinces for related to country ID. I send the request. I wanted to show you this one. This request contains country ID. I send it to it and use it in my code. And the other one, others contains something like that. Client repo. It is actually the implemented for clients. Because of that, I wrote it down as client repo with active clients, and city repo that it has a request parameter that contains province ID to filter province ID based on province ID. And car repo, and it has request parameter, but it filter with city ID, start and end. date time for that tables we had. I will show you the script I implemented for this. And the book repo, the another one that this is create a book record. I mean, this inserts and record inside book TBL books table. Yeah, this is inserted by the application. I didn't implement it. I didn't insert data inside it via Mac. This is implemented and inserted by the application. Okay, so okay, this is a Dapper project, and this is actually implemented services and controllers project that has dependencies to Dapper project and have packages for ASP.NET Core and SQL client, as already have, and something like that. Okay, let's implement services. First of all, I need to explain to you startup CS. You need to define here your dependency injections, because you call all of these inside your services and controllers. Because of that, you need to define your dependency injections. First of all, I want to explain to you these configure services. This is the default line it has, and this one too. This one, I define my connection string inside this config. See, CarSum connection. Okay. If you come to get section here, we need to find these connection strings. Actually, I think we don't need. Yeah, this is in app settings JSON and CarSum. This connection string, my server, my database, and user ID and password. Okay. I read my connection string from here. Okay. And then I define my dependency injections here for every interfaces I have. See? And define it for services, and that text I implemented for that interfaces, for those interfaces. For example, this client services implemented for client repo. If I go inside it, I have some constructor and the method I need to read active clients. And this one, client executor, I implement, you see I inheritance from that interface and implement this script. That it is a plain script that I read data I need from database. Okay, so the rest of dependency injections are the same. And in configure, I just come here, and after use authorization, I add this add course to accept all HTTP requests we send to this services and this API to accept all of them and don't face any error. Okay, so this is it was a startup program, doesn't have anything to explain. It is the defaults. This is config I show you that car sum con that we have it in app setting car sum con, and the string we have that we call it by this line and using this from this connection string using this line. Okay, and I defined a base proxy to execute my scripts. I mean, send requests to database and get data from the database in base proxy. I defined all of them. This is the base class for read list by param or create item. We can have another methods here, but I didn't implement because I didn't need to implement. You give your connection string in constructor and assign to connection string, and we implement here this try catch. Inside this, I could implement here too, but I didn't because it's just reading data and doesn't have any effect on database. I get here and create a connection to this connection string, and if it is closed, I open it, and then query that CMD, I send it, and that to list for that T and return. And by params is the same, just I send parameter to it. It is a little bit different. You send parameters with your command to this query and get data. And for create item, I did the same. Just I implemented a try catch here. Because I didn't have any response type to return the exception, I just return false because it returned Boolean. When I face with exception and creating item in database, and I just execute my command with params. Command I send it and params I send to this method, and result if 0, it means there is a problem and insert not implemented, the data not inserted in database actually, and if it's not 0, it means it inserted data in database and return true. This is all about base proxy class that I implemented for my application. Then I come here and implement my services. For example, for country, I use this iCountry repo for my service, and I inject this for my country services in startup CS, if you remember. See, iCountry repo for country services, and I need this base proxy. So I in country services, I inject that CMD I need from iCountry executor text. Put it in command text. I defined. And this I options config give me that connection config. This is I option. This is extension options for system DLL, and I use this connection like this. Connection config value, you get the connection and connection string, connection that car_sum_con, and then I send it to this base proxy and create my connection. When I call a method inside base proxy class. In read active country, I just send this command text read active country. If I press F12, maybe it shows the interface exactly, but I can press Control F12 to show me the exact plain T-SQL I sent to database and get data. Here I want to show you what did I do. I sent this as a generic entity to this method, and I click on Control F12. It comes inside it, and it knows it is country model, and get data and return the to list country model list of data. That's all about it, and it doesn't do anything more. So for province, because it has a parameter, I just want to show you what I exactly do. The rest of the code are the same, but here for read active provinces by country ID, I have this text that send it country ID. That's a country ID and active one. I wanted active one. I mean active provinces. Active provinces in my application. So I put it inside it here static. I send it here and read list by params. I send. You should pay attention. This parameter should be same I used in my request. I mean that country ID. This is case sensitive, and you should pay attention about it. This is country ID, and the parameter I used in my SQL script is country ID and case sensitive. So you should pay attention to this and use same. Okay. And all of this is a generic model 2 sent to this read list by params and read data and return data. And another one I want to show you the insert data service, that book services. This is because I sent from Angular, I need to change something in date. It's not important. It is project API level actually operations, and doesn't matter actually. In constructor I did the same, and just I create item and send my request parameters to this insert script. See? And I use exactly the case sensitive parameters I used in my request here. If you see, I these are all case sensitive, and you should use it, but otherwise you face error about it. Okay. Uh, all services are like that, and not anymore to explain anything. So we have controllers. All of them are the same. They are like each other, and just you came here and define a country repo, private for this class, and inject a country repo and get it in here and assign to country repo for this class, and define a controller path and service path. I use post for all of the methods I using in controllers. Because of that, I define all of these, and post and route for controller like that. First of all, don't forget you should inherit from this controller base class here. This is system class for controller you use in your API service, and using this API controller property, it is important, don't forget. I return this action result. It is the default response we have for our services. I get read active countries from this country repo. If you press F12, it goes to interface, but if you press Control plus F2, you go to exact implementation of your method, and I get the list here and return OK list from here. That's all. The rest of the controllers are the same and doesn't do anything else. Book controller the same. I get the parameters and call my service and get the result and return the result. It's the same. Okay, let's show you the front end part I implemented with Angular. Okay. First of all, I start with explain something in Angular. You have an Angular JSON here. You define your defaults, actually, your defaults inside here. You should pay attention to something. In assets, you need to define your assets have in your project, images and something like this, inside this. And because I use Bootstrap classes in my project, I need to define in styles in this property. Identify Bootstrap to styles here to load these classes when application loading. Okay. And another thing I need to tell you about the package JSON. You can define here your version. I don't know why I put here 000. I can put it here 001, for example. This is the version of your application, and I can put the current, for example. current. It should be lowercase current. Okay. Your scripts to build anything. This is this showing these commands inside this npm scripts here. If you see, you can add anything you want here, any scripts to run npm commands. You can add them here, okay? Or anything, git commands or anything you want. It will run all of them. And if you here click on run, that execute this command exactly. For example, build, see, ng build, it has ng build. If I press on run, open the terminal and execute npm run build, it will build the project. Okay, and dependencies are the dependencies, and dev dependencies are the packages you installed for your application. Dependencies, the default packages you publish with your project. And dev dependencies, when your application run, the application get these packages from the internet itself and use them. Exactly this, not exactly that application, sorry. When you publish this project and another one to use this project, that person should install these packages first and then can use your project, because you use these projects inside your project. See, this ng build our project, and it doesn't have any error. So I press and close it, press enter and close it. And the other things, it's not important anymore. TS configs, these are default configs of Angular, and it doesn't important anymore. Your default style SCSS, I define something here for my default styles in my application. Main and index are default, and I didn't touch them. Environment same, assets the same, I didn't touch them. So I starting with here, from here, enums. I define enums, fuel type, gasoline, electric, and message. Enums for message, I defined here data saved successfully, data not saved. It's better you use enums for your messages, because if you using your messages in many places in your project, and you want to change just one thing inside your message, you just need to come here and change, for example, all data. For example, you want to put it all data saved successfully, you just need to change it here, and it affects in all the places you use from this enum property. Okay. App module, that it's this is created by Angular, and you don't need to do anything. It contains app routing module. If you see here, it calls in imports app routing module. It is important because you wrote your screens inside this app routing module, and this is here, let me explain to you something. You define your roots inside this part in your routing module. When the path is empty, it means when you come to application, the first screen you see it will be this when it is empty. But if I fill it with some value, for example, test, I need to define a path to exactly this path to open my components. I show you later to how you implement these parts. You can implement your components here with two ways. First, you can call your component directly from here, that you give here the path of component, for example, components, select client container, and it opens the component directly. It will open component directly. Or you can load module with this load children and using this one, container select client module, and this is another module that loads inside this app routing module, and this app routing module load inside this app module. So select client module load inside the project. When this module loads, when you click the path you want to go inside this module. So it is because I use this solution in my project because your application when loading, it will be light and will not load all modules together, and it will load lightweight and load another modules just when we need to load them. Okay, and then one by one you can implement this for all screens you have. And because I just have one screen inside this application, I implemented just one module. Okay, when I go inside this select client module, see, I define select client routing module to here, and as I told you, I define a path empty and select client container component. Okay, I define component directly here because I don't have any other module inside this module, so I just call directly my component, go inside this component, and I implement some code here that these are all about the implementing in Angular and nothing else. I can show you the HTML I implemented here. I using the HTMLs I used in my application. I implemented myself these components. I can show you these components. These are another components I implemented inside this project that take from you label and the value of your component. And if this is, for example, drop down, it gives from you your list to show inside your drop down and another things. This is drop down to, this is drop down to, and date, accept your value and another things here. This is a math table. Just I want to show data inside the math table, and the button that make a book for car I wanted. The only thing I need to explain to you about this form. This is a reactive form. The reactive form, I implemented a base form group to handle all of these, and these are professional parts of implementing reactive forms, and I just need to tell you, I wrap the form group inside these classes, and using this for label number FC or label dropdown FC, for my dropdowns, for my ID in application, for my dates in my UI, actually UI. You can using these form groups for disable whole fields inside your screen, to enable whole fields inside your screen, or one of them or two of them. You can specify anything you want inside it. You can specify required values for your screen, and using that inside your component. For example, when I define required values here, for example, this one, no, actually you need to define required values with this validators required. I define these ones myself, and these are not for form group, same form group, but these are the values wrapped required properties I implemented for my form groups. You when you specify validator require for your field, and when you want to book here, for example, if you didn't fill your field, and using this property form.invalid, when you didn't fill your required property and required field, and you didn't fill it and use this, when it's invalid, it will be true, okay? Because you didn't fill your field, required field, it is invalid. So it will be true, and when I give not here, I put not here, it doesn't go inside this block, and it doesn't call create book car. It is simple as I explained to you. You don't need to implement all this is not empty, this is not empty, this field not empty. You just need to use this command for your purpose. And if at least one of your required fields are not filled, it doesn't go inside here, and it doesn't send request to, for example, your API method to insert something. Okay? That's all I needed to tell you about the form groups. You can read the documents about form groups, and anything you can follow the follow this and using these methods. Uh, Follow and use form groups. You need to read a little bit more to use these form groups, and these are more useful, and you will love it when you using these form groups, and exactly wrapped form groups when you implement yourselves extra things for your form groups. Okay. Another thing I want to tell you about sandbox. This sandbox, I implement this because I have the base service. In this base service, I call anything I want. And if I want to change something for my calling API, I just need to come here and change this base service or this base API service. For example, this route to my project, API project, or anything you can, but define it inside a config. But because I don't need it, I just specify inside this. If you want to change anything, when you want change anything about connecting to API, you just need to come here and change base API service or base service, and you don't need to change all of the services you implemented in your screens. So I come here just and define a base service and a sandbox and call it from here. My controller name is book because I know it. I know it is book here. See, and create book car. I know it, and I specify inside here. Okay, and get API is my method inside the base service, and then get API is a service inside base API service, and get the and send a request to API and get data from API or insert data inside API. Okay, and that's all I want to tell you about the project. There is no anything I want to tell you about it. The only thing I need to tell you, I have this project inside my Git. You can get from my Git this project, and if you want see anything and review anything, you can do it. It is free for you. I give you the paths you need inside my GitLab to get these projects and take a look at this. Let me prepare the paths for GitLab and then give you one of them is this. It is the front end part. You can get this and take a look at this. The other one, my database. You can get this from database from GitLab. It is the database I implemented. It is a backup. You can simply restore it and using it. And the other one is backend that you need to use for backend part about the API and models I implemented, and Dapper I used inside it. Okay, thank you. Sorry for My English, my English is not is not fluent, and I training to improve it. But anyway, maybe I can help you to use these useful technologies and frameworks inside your applications. Thank you. Have a good time. Bye. Excuse me, I forgot to execute my application to show you uh, the, to show you my application interface. Let me execute this to show you the application interface. I hope it will run perfectly. Okay. First of all, I need to serve it. First of all, I need to run my backend, and after that, I need to serve my front end. Okay, I serve my application. Okay, it's running. It doesn't have any problem. We will wait to run. Until this running, I open a Chrome. To open my application because I run another application. I need to change my port. Okay. Okay, it started to compiling. Okay, it will execute successfully and open my application. Let me reload again to see. Okay, so I select here a client, for example, Ferdinand. It loads the country here, and for example, I select Pearl. As you saw, it load the provinces based on this Pearl. It doesn't have any province for Pearl, Japan. Same, Uruguay, same, Sweden, same, Colombia, same, Mexico. Yeah, we have. These are not the real values because Virginia and Massachusetts for USA, but this is for test just and it doesn't mean anything for me. Just for test, and I use Massachusetts, and it loads cities, but it's because very fast. We couldn't see the loading. If I open the network and run again, for example, Virginia, and see here, same, we didn't see anything. Okay. It loads cities here. I don't know why. Oh, it is JS. Yeah, see, in XHR, you can see the request, and this one province ID 601, and it loads these for Massachusetts. These are not the real values, as I said to you, but it just for loading data. Okay. Now I select this for example, and I see which I using this methods here, this form group here, and using these required, because I wrapped the form group reactive form classes, I using this required and using label dropdown FC and label table label date here. I put automatically a star in front of it, and using labels inside defining the this form model here. See, client names, for example, countries, and it puts this component puts automatically these values in front of for these fields actually. Now I select these values, and when I press show accessible cards, it will show me the accessible cards. But because there isn't any car accessible in this city, it doesn't show me anything. And this one too, and this one too doesn't have any. So we should find another one that has a car inside it. Okay, we don't have any error, likely. Okay. We have two China here. Okay, we need to take a look at database, because I couldn't find the exact data from here. Okay, we have cars, for example, insider ID 1601 and 601 for city ID. Viviana. Okay, I use Viviana, but it is not accessible. Oh, it's not a client because of that. Okay. Oh, it's a renter. Yeah, it's not a client because of that. Okay, I select Ferdinand. Okay, this is Ferdinand. Ferdinand is a client, because of that I have it here, and Another one, cards, city ID 601, city 601, 601 from 601 province. This is Kolonda, and 601 Massachusetts, 601 country. I found it, I think. '601 country, Mexico. Okay, I think fun. Kolonda. Maybe I need to choose data. Yes, I forgot. These are required values. So I want to rent this car from 2 September until 30 September, for example, this Mitsubishi Montero with orange color and 1999 year, fuel type gasoline, and fuel level 2, and this address. So I book car and data saved successfully. Okay, and now if we come here to TBL books and refresh it, okay, we have it here. It's as simple as I show you. Thank you for watching. Sorry, I forgot something because it is a old project and I forgot something inside it. Thank you. Bye.